This is a very mysterious volcano. It's a caldera volcano that is filled up with water. It's a nice lake with swimmers and boats, but underneath there are hidden dangers. Not only a volcano that seems to be waking up a little bit because there's magma accumulating underneath. We also might have a sunken castle inside the caldera and a World War II plane that still carries the bombs, which makes it super dangerous to be boating above it. So let's have a deeper look into this. Hey guys, we want to talk about a volcano in Germany. Would you think that? I mean, if you hear Germany, you think about Bavaria, Oktoberfest, beer, sausages, sauerkraut, stuff like this. But a volcano, but yes, and this volcano is known to cause a lot of trouble. Can you believe it? In the past, when there was an eruption, the ashes did block the Rhine River, and really like worse than a beaver. And then it was when it was breaking, it was causing a major tsunami. So this volcano is real. It's a caldera volcano and it is covered by a lake. And we want to talk about this, but I want to tell you what I'm doing here. I just fed hay to the horses behind me, and now I want to do some blackberry removal. I mean, I love the blackberries. I eat them. They're organic. They're low sugar. They're high in vitamin C, but they're highly invasive. Those guys are crazy. So since the ground is quite dry right now, I have a chance to get in there with my machine so I can remove them. So at the end of the video, I will show you what I'm doing. Because look at that stuff behind me. I have already removed a little bit, but all that needs to go. So I'll keep you updated about this, guys. So in the heart of Germany lies Lake Laach, the Laacher See. It's a body of water with a very tumultuous past. This isn't just any lake, it's a caldera volcano like we have seen in Italy, the Campi Flegrei. You see the picture here in the background. That is called a caldera. And it is a testament to the violent volcanic activity that has shaped that region in Germany over 12,000 years ago. A caldera is formed when a volcano erupts so explosively that it collapses into itself, so creating a large crater that can fill with water over time, as it did here in Germany. Lake Laach is one of these rare natural wonders. It's a beautiful but yet powerful reminder of Earth's dynamic nature. So before we go into the mystery that also surrounds this lake, and some of it is already proven, I want to talk to you about the recent events and why scientists are looking closer into this and are worried because this volcano is overdue with its next eruption. So let's look into this. The scientists are saying that this volcano in Germany is recharging with new magma. So above a pristine blue lake filled with boaters and swimmers. That's what's going on there. But below, magma is bubbling and swelling. So this doesn't sound like a Hollywood plot. This is in fact based on new research by geophysicists in Germany. Lake Laach is very close to the city of Bonn, about 40 kilometers from Bonn. That's about 40 miles. And there are deep earthquakes showing that magma is rising beneath this lake. And that sounds scary, guys, right? So what is happening? So a scientist, a German scientist, Dr. Thorsten Dahm, he said, we concluded in our work that it is possible that magma is rising, but actually we cannot say for sure that a large amount is rising. And we know these problems, the ones that are following me in my Iceland videos about what's going on there. There's a magma chamber filling up again and causing eruptions and filling up again. It is very hard to determine how much magma is in there. the scientist says, I'm going to jump to the big question that I think most people that's in the Rhineland area of Germany, it's in Western Germany, will ask themselves when they read this kind of headline. So is an eruption imminent? And that would be just an absolute blow to Germany, because I don't think anybody in Germany would think that a volcanic eruption in Germany is possible. Everyone's looking to Etna, Sforzoli in Italy, Vesuvius in Italy, of course. Everyone should be looking at Campi Flegrei in Italy. That's a caldera supervolcano that might erupt soon, and that has caused in previous eruptions a long time ago, like major problems all over the world. So especially people in Europe have to look at that. But Germany, this is really crazy. So he says, well, we can't conclude that an eruption is imminent. And he says, we don't expect an imminent eruption very soon or in the near future, but it shows us, and that's what we know at the moment, that there is activity going on. This thing is not dormant or sleeping. And there is also magmatic activity going on. And he says this is the first time that we have direct evidence, so meaning direct in a sense of observing seismic signals at this volcano. So we know it is really occurring, it is real. So this volcanic area, this volcano is very, very destructive. So about 13,000 years ago, it erupted with such violence that its ash has stopped the Rhine River. So the Rhine River is not a little stream. This is a massive river. So, and the scientists are saying we still can't get over the fact that it really managed to do that. And that's why the scientist says it makes me wonder, how are we monitoring Lake Laach right now, and what should we improve? Because when that Rhine River was stopped by the ashes, and then that artificial dam that the volcano built broke, it was causing a tsunami of water. And that, imagine that, guys. So this is not something, you know, that should not be investigated more. And we know volcanology and seismology, these are sciences that are not super advanced. So especially with volcanoes where we do not have an eruptive history in our present time that had been recorded, so that scientists could learn more about how this volcano is behaving right before an eruption. We know this in Italy, and we know this in Iceland now. We know, okay, magma chamber is rising, land is rising, then we have an earthquake cluster, and then we have an eruption, and then it's rising again. So they have experience, a little bit more experience with that now. But in Germany, he says the observations that we have now, I mean, we've only been able to resolve these kinds of signals because we have improved our seismic network, but it's actually not optimal. So there are other important signals that should be measured continuously and in real time. So who comes to the idea that you should install measuring instruments in Germany because a volcano might erupt? Nobody thought about this in the past, but what he says, it's time to think about this now. And he says, for instance, the gas flows or the chemical analysis of gases in the places where we know that gas from the deep mantle source is coming to the surface. There, they should measure that more. And I mean, the gas is coming up. It's a caldera. So
He says the little uplift, every little uplift or a deformation or movement of the surface should be measured today with geodetic data. So with continued GPS monitoring, for instance, and this is not in place at the moment. It is in place in Iceland. It is in place in Italy, so that they know, oh, it's rising like 10 centimeters per year, or there it's right from one eruption to the next, it has risen like 10 centimeters. So this gives you an indication about how much magma could be underneath, or at least learn what is happening, right? And nothing is in place. And imagine, guys, this is a lake where people are swimming and boating. But not only that, volcano is underneath. I have mentioned it at the beginning. There's something else lurking there that could cause high danger. But, you know, let's look a little bit more into it, what the scientist has to say before we come to these topics. So this is a lake that has a sailboat and rowboat and paddle boat rentals, and a lot of Germans are heading to this lake in the summertime for a swim. And so that scientist was asked, like, are you saying that the gases that are bubbling out of that lake aren't being actively monitored? Is that typical to not do that? Because when you're there at that lake, you can see the bubbles coming up, and they should at least monitor the gases if they're getting worse or if they're getting toxic, right? Because the closer you come to an eruption, or even not even an eruption, there could be toxic volcanic gases, sulfur gases, and you swim in there and you have your head low, and right in front of your head one of these gas bubbles bursts. That sounds really, really scary, guys. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. And I have something to ask you guys.
So guys, since we're in the middle of the video, could you do me a favor and leave this video a like, so that we are being pushed out in the world by the algorithm a little bit? So that would be absolutely awesome. Thanks for that. And let's continue with the video.
So thank you for that. So what is the scientist saying? Is it normal not to monitor that? And he says, well, there have been occasional investigation of the gases, so they are monitored, but not in a continuous manner. So we have no real-time monitoring of the gases, and that should be changed, guys. So he says, for a report last year, I went swimming in part of Lake Laach where CO2 gases were bubbling up. It was like champagne. So now I'm kind of thinking that maybe wasn't the best idea. No, it wasn't, because you don't know how high the gas concentration is there. So the scientist knows about the danger, but do the tourists? So he says, yeah, there is a danger in this region, and everywhere where you have CO2. As you know, CO2 can be dangerous. I always thought it was forbidden to swim in some areas of Lake Laach, or at least it was not recommended to swim there. So he says, I can tell you one thing, the path I took to get where I was swimming with these gas bubbles, it was not well traveled, so it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people coming. But he says there was an empty wine bottle or a beer bottle there, so yeah, it probably would be good to monitor those gases, and I think potentially warn tourists and people that there is something, right? Because you go there and you're like, it's a nice lake. How can you tell? How do you know? Germany, that this is a volcanic crater, basically. So he says, I mean, with volcanoes, as with anywhere in the world, something could change, and it sometimes changes quickly. So the flux of gas, or the amount of gas coming out, might change, and it would be important to know this, right? And then he was asked what would be his proposal for the next step of research at Lake Laach, and he thinks that there are several open questions which need to be answered and investigated better. And one key question is really whether there are already magmatic reservoirs of larger volumes underneath this caldera in the shallow crust, or maybe even in the intermediate depth or a deeper crust. So this would be very important to know and to understand in order to better understand the real volcanic hazard. Because as of right now, everyone thinks there isn't a hazard. But the seismic activity is there, and what they have been measured shows and proves there is magma accumulating. Because of course, if the Laacher See would erupt in Germany, it could have local impacts such as lava flows and ashfall, but also ash clouds could disrupt air travel, affect the climate, damage agriculture, and lead to infrastructure damage, of course. So that lake is one of the largest lakes in that area, and it is quite deep. It's 51 meters deep, and it has an area of around 3.3 square kilometers. What else is lurking in these waters, hidden from the eyes of the observer? So on the ground of the western part of that sea is a plain, and it's there since the August 29th, 1942, and it's a wreckage of a British Halifax bomber with 4 engines from the Second World War, and it crashed there near the shoreline. So in the first years after the war, you could even see it when you looked into the water, because it was lying quite shallow, but then it was sliding down deeper. So on April 27th, 2007, it was publicly announced that because of the danger of bombs exploding that were still attached to the plane, so it seems that plane had kind of a soft landing so that it wasn't destroyed too much. So these are bombs that could explode even after a very long time. So this is common in Germany and has been common in Germany after the war, that when new foundations were dug or something, sometimes inside big cities, like World War II bombs were found and then had to be dismantled. So here they're saying danger of explosion in a lake. So since March 2007, nobody is getting a permit anymore to dive down there or drive over this area with a boat, or to swim there, or to do some fishing there. Nothing. So I wonder, can you really mark an area? Do they mark this with buoys or something? So from in June till end of June in 2008, there was a diving unit of the military that looked it up, that was diving down there to look at potential dangers, and they did found some parts of the wreckage of that sunken plane. But what they did not found is the main part of the wreck with the bombs attached. So these dives were under very, very difficult circumstances because you did not have sight. It was very, very dark and particles in the water. That's why they couldn't see anything. So it is unclear to this day whether there are bombs on the plane or whether they are in the near area of the plane. And they can also not rule out that there still remains of hydraulic oil or even like gas from the engine that could still be in the wreckage. But the most important thing are the bombs. Would you like to go swimming in a lake that has bombs? I wouldn't. And imagine a volcanic eruption, because this is a caldera with water on top of it, so it definitely will be kind of explosive, and you're in a nearby village and the volcano spits out the bombs and throws it right into your village. So I don't know you know, since they don't know where the bombs are, maybe the water has moved them somewhere else. No, I certainly would not want to swim there, and something else might have sunken in that lake. So that's a saga of a mysterious castle that was on an island in the middle of the lake and then sank into the lake and disappeared. So that was supposed to be a castle, and an earl should have lived in there who was very tyrannical and was treating his people very, very badly. So the saga says, kind of as a punishment, one day that island, including his castle and including the mean earl, there was an apocalyptic storm. This island was sinking and disappearing in the lake. So there is even a rhyme about it from Friedrich Schlegel, and it says the sunken castle. So you can look it up if you like. It's in German. It's das versunkene Schloss. So a lot of mystery about this, but also a lot of danger. I will follow up with this. They have installed dozens and dozens of seismometers in the year 22-23 to monitor the whole thing closer. So I'm pretty sure we will receive some updates. What I have heard from what they're looking at, how these eruptions did occur, this thing is overdue. It is overdue. So it's nothing that you can say, well, it's never going to happen. Of course, even if it's overdue, I mean, it could, are we talking, it could still go for another 100 years, 50 years, 5 years, 10 years, 1,000 years. We don't know, but the chances of knowing more increase with continuous measurements, because the gas is definitely dangerous. There's a monastery, there was an ancient monastery on the shore of that lake, and then when the monks were sleeping, that gas was lurking out, making them unconscious. So definitely there is something there. For me, I wouldn't have a relaxed boating or swimming experience. I would definitely go somewhere else, but you know me, guys, better safe than sorry. If you ask me, would you rather go swimming in the Blue Lagoon in Iceland or in that lake, I have to say I would swim in the Laache See. I would swim in that lake. There's updates from the Blue Lagoon, again, more interviews from staff and tourists. I will release an update about Iceland, Grindavik, and the Blue Lagoon in the next video. So here we go. Operation Blackberry is starting, guys. And look at her. She needs to be so curious all the time. She needs to check it out. Yo, what did I do there, huh? What did I build there? Yeah. I don't know, someone decades ago must have had some planters or something in the bushes, and I'm trying to get them all out. Now I have to sort the plastic away and then make this a nice burn pile. But she's already checking it out and marking it. The cool thing is nothing can freak out these horses because they know my tractor, they know me, they know the noise, they know the cracking of the branches and everything. So check out, it's a little bit clearer now, at least I can walk through there.
So I wanted to protect that tree from all the blackberries taking over because they were growing up into that tree. So now it's a little bit more clear. So I really want to clear this out and maybe build a trail through there or something. So I've got that big pile here. Now I got to collect all the plastic, move that away, and then make it a nice burn pile. And then a shout out to Isabella. Her mom wrote a comment underneath my video that now she wants to have a horse. So look at these horses, Isabella. It's a lot of work, and you know, it's not that you can just take them home and cuddle them. So if you really want to do this, you have to ask your mom. It's a lot of responsibility. I mean, what I would suggest, there's lots of barns and people that, you know, would maybe offer you for free to help grooming them a little bit and get to know them. I would suggest maybe a smaller pony so you can get to know life with horses. It is beautiful, and to all parents, I can tell you, it keeps your kids out of trouble. That's for sure. So guys, if you like this video, thanks so much for watching. Leave it a like and click the notification bell. I've heard from many of my viewers that for some reason the notification bells don't work, or they keep getting unsubscribed. So guys, I don't know what it is, but please do me a favor and just look at my On the Pulse with Silky start page, my page on YouTube, once in a while, and just check if you're still subscribed and if the notification is still on, or check that page on a daily basis. There you can see all my new videos. I release videos every day, so I don't want to lose you, and it would be awesome if you come along with me for the ride here on YouTube. And if you haven't yet, it would be great if you could subscribe, and I'll keep you updated about everything, about Iceland as well, about the Campi Flegrei in Italy, and now about Germany. So we will see what happens there. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. And the guys behind me say thank you so much for the supers you keep buying us to support my farm and these animals with hay deliveries. And thank you so much for the coffees you keep buying us in support of my farm and my operation here. This is the hay that I keep buying from the coffees you keep buying me on that site. So check out that site, subscribe there so that we can stay in touch. It's totally for free. I post a lot of stuff there as well. So thanks so much for the coffees and your support, guys, and I'll see you very, very soon, hopefully. Bye bye.